Hi, and welcome to Hills Hangout. I'm Stanley Nunn, your host, and I'm here today with Jeremy Whiting. Jeremy is a photographer here at the city of Farmington Hills and an avid photographer in his own right. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us on the show today. We talked to a lot of different artists and a lot of creators from a variety of different genres, and I wanted to talk to you today about photography because I know very little about it, but I have always had an interest. So what sort of got you involved initially in photography?
Well, I guess there's like a short answer and a long answer. The short answer would be I had a lot of photographers kind of adjacent to me in my life growing up. My mom was a photographer, and also one of my grandparents was. And so I kind of always was around cameras. I didn't really get super into it until I was maybe in my late teens. And then I started kind of messing around with some different cameras that I had access to, and really got into it at that point. When I was in my 20s, I was studying urban history, basically urban studies at Wayne State. And I wasn't really satisfied with like where that was headed career-wise. And I kept finding myself gravitating towards more creative projects and more creative pursuits. And I guess at a certain point, I just realized that I really enjoyed photography and that I had to be honest with myself and decide that this was something that I wanted to do a lot of, and I guess for lack of a better plan, I just decided to start trying to be paid to do it.
That's usually how it goes. That's usually how it goes. So you've been doing this a while. Yeah. So how many years would you say you've been doing it professionally? Professionally,
at this point, I would around 10 years. But really seriously, professionally, maybe more like 6 or 7 years, yeah. I think. Really in the beginning, I shot a bunch right before I went to college, and then I didn't really shoot at all in college. Mm-hmm. And then after I graduated, I started shooting more, and I also started taking classes at OCC. And at that point, I would take paying gigs from people, but I almost feel bad calling that like professional work at that time because I didn't really know what I was doing. Right. So, but definitely like 6 or 7 years at this point. Yeah.
Well, we all suffer from imposter syndrome, initially when you get started in it, it's hard to really see yourself in this new light. But I was looking at your website and I noticed that you have a large section on architecture, which is sort of a passion of mine. I love to see, really creatively constructed buildings. What got you interested in that sort of thing?
Well, I think at first part of it was that I was really into cities. I was studying cities. And also I have a bit of social anxiety. So, some people really get into portraits. And at first, when I was kind of shooting more and more, I really loved shooting buildings because they don't move and I can take as long as I want and I don't have to talk to them. But I guess, I've always been interested also in like the ways that humans change our environment and impact our environment, and our, buildings, architecture is one of those ways.
So if somebody wanted to see your work and what kind of, photographs you produce, where would they find you?
So you can find me online. I have a website. It's jeremywhitingphotography.com. And then I also have not one, but 2 Instagrams. So I have one that's Jeremy Whiting Photo, and that's like all my personal work and artwork. And then I have a sports one as well. That's J Whiting Sport Photo on Insta. So that's probably the easiest way.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you for joining us on the show. I appreciate you giving us your insight into this particular art form. It's been good for me, definitely. And it's an area that I've been fascinated in for a long time, so thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Hills Hangout. We'll see you next month.